Alright guys, welcome to the Stormhawks Q&A. Now, I didn't get a lot of questions, so once again, I'm soloing it. And as always, if I didn't answer your question, probably means YouTube was being a dick and didn't have it show up on the list I have. So I do apologize for that. Maybe it got marked as spam or just didn't even show up. So I do apologize for that in advance. But without further ado, let's get on with the Q&A, starting with Jake Bat. And Jake Bat asks, because for this Q&A, I bent the rules a bit and gave two questions because I had a feeling that this might happen of, not enough people, so. Because Stormhawks doesn't have a big following, unfortunately. Anyway, so the first question is, if Stormhawks was still around today, do you think it would have had been more popular when it originally was? You see, that's the thing, is that Stormhawks was an action TV show, and for some reason, action TV shows aren't getting a lot of cred these days. They're not getting a lot of attention. Oh, but you could be saying, oh, wait, but what about Adventure Time and Steven Universe? They have action in them, so how come they're still around? And same with Ben 10 Omniverse, and a few other action cartoons. But the thing is that you notice that those action cartoons are still, especially with the case of Adventure Time and Steven Universe, is that they're mostly comedy shows. Whereas, other shows like Ben 10 Omniverse and a few others, those shows are in the earlier time. I mean, even if, we hate them, but Ultimate Spider-Man and Avengers Assemble are earlier in the daytime, so they don't really have a lot of faith in them. You have to pre-record this stuff. It's kind of one of the many reasons why Young Justice and Green Lantern, the animated series, fell in on it, was canceled because they want to move. For some reason, everyone's kind of just staying away from action cartoons. The only action cartoon that is consecutively staying alive is Ninja Turtles right now. That's the only show as currently that is staying alive right now for this show. So yeah. But had it come out today, in this time period, I don't know if it would have gotten the same kind of reception it got then, because I think it would have been the same thing. I honestly think it would have been the same kind of reception as that, it would have some good ratings, and then they would change it around so much, the time schedule so much. And even when it was on Disney XD, there was a point when Disney I think Disney still owns the rights to Stormhawks. Because I think, they got the rights, and then they started showing it on Disney XD, I remember, for a short time, and then they stopped. So it's really kind of heartbreaking, because I think it's kind of sad, because I want more, I'd like it to have a bigger following, because it was such a good show. So yeah, I don't know if it would do any better this time of year, this time period than it did back then, which was not too far away. It was only like, 2000... I want to say 2010 or 11, for the most. So yeah, there's, I don't know, more or less. I'm gonna have to say, unfortunately, no. So yeah. Anyway, your second question is, who are the comic book counterparts to the team? Team as in Stormhawks, obviously. Okay, counterparts to the team, to the Stormhawks in comic books. Well, first off, Arrow, totally a young Captain America. Him and Cap he's like a young Captain America, so there you go. Finn, Hawkeye, obviously, not just for the arrows, but also the attitude and whatnot. So definitely Hawkeye, absolutely 100% Hawkeye. Piper would be definitely with along the lines of Iron Man. Iron Man's her counterpart. Junko's, I don't want to say Hulk. Maybe more along the lines of Ben Grimm. Maybe Ben. That's the best one I could say. Stork, I got nothing for Stork, sadly. Maybe, no, not even him. Stork, I got nothing for Stork, sadly. Anyway, so thank you for that question, Jake. Alistair Boneman asks, his first question is, if you could create a new villain or faction for Stormhawks universe, who would it be? Who would they be, and what would be their motivations? Well, I did work on a few series of Stormhawks fanfiction in my, in the earlier days. I haven't done anything with Stormhawks lately. Actually, no, I take that back. I'm doing something with Stormhawks, which I'll get into later. But right now, getting back to this question, I mean, I did have this idea of these kind of like, I want to say like these people called the Cyberhawks. The Cyberhawks were, get this, they were created by a Merbian scientist named Gideon, who, and this is before Gravity Falls came out, so I thought of that name without thinking of Gideon Gleeful in mind. But he was a Cyclonian scientist named Gideon who took the DNA from the Stormhawks and then created clones of them, but then added cybernetic parts to them. So not only they're cyborg clones. And they were evil. I mean, these guys, I made them destroy, pillage, plunder. These guys were even like, they were kicked out of Cyclonia real quick, and then became their own kind of faction. And then you had the Daughters of Liberty, which were these fanatical women who lived on Terra Amazonia. They were kind of like a more jihadist group on Terra Amazonia, where they thought all men were inferior and women were the superior species, and these girls were bad as well. So there's just a few right there for other factions. Your second question is, in the end of the show, last time we see the team, they are in a new world that Master Cyclonus ran away to. Where would you take the story from there, from the show? Where would I take the show from there? Let's see. I think I would take it. That Cyclonus ran in there for at first trying to get a safe haven, but then eventually have her join the group as like an Emma Frost type character. That's how I've always kind of, whenever they do these whole, Cyclonus is going to join the Stormhawks, she's always been kind of written, probably unintentionally by some, or intentionally by others. She's always written as like an Emma Frost type character, where she's a total bitch to everyone, but is working on her problems. Because now she can socialize with people, and she doesn't know how to. And the closest one she ever gets close to is Piper. So, anyway, the other thing is, I don't know where I would go with this, because I've read fan fiction that has pretty much talked about the whole Beyond the Far Side kind of thing, and they've talked a lot about Beyond the Far Side of the Atmos better than I have. There's a lot of great fan fiction of that out there, and I've never really touched it, because I've actually tried to, but then I was like, you know what, it's already been done, so I don't want to focus my time on that. So yeah, I don't know where I would take it, honestly, because it's like a lot of other people have done it a lot better than I could. So yeah, thank you for those questions, Alistair. Next comes from Burnouter7, and he asks, what do you think of a Stormhawks movie? Would you want it live action, or would you want it animated in the old style but with a better budget? Stormhawks movie, I would really like that, and done in the same animation. But I think the thing is, if they ever did a Stormhawks movie, realistically speaking, it would be a direct-to-DVD video. It would be a direct-to-DVD movie. Why did I say video? It would be, direct-to-DVD, like something you would see like with Batman and, the DC animated films or the Marvel animated films, straight there. So, yeah, I would like it in the same animation, but with a little better budget, and probably what they would want to do, because the creator of the show, the creator of the Stormhawks TV show, talked about how he would like to at least do a movie to wrap up everything. I wouldn't mind that at all. In fact, I would buy that, because I would like to see everything that it would be kind of like he kind of made it out like it was going to be his Serenity. Like, he wasn't able to finish the story he told, and now he can try to finish the story, at least a little of it, in a movie. So, I would be all for that. I don't know if anyone would go for it these days. That's kind of the sad part. But yes, movie, not live action. Animated. So your second question is, what would happen if Master Cyclonus went to Asgard and met the Enchantress? Sorry for a crossover question, but couldn't think of another question to ask. It's fine. It's totally fine, Burnouter. Anyway, what would happen if Master Cyclonus met the Enchantress? I think she'd be very impressed. And speaking of Stormhawks in the Marvel Universe, I think this would be a perfect time to announce that, yes, the Stormhawks will be in the Marvel 2K fanfiction universe site, which is a site, for those who don't know, it's a fanfiction site where we do Marvel stories that are set, it's a different continuity set after X-Men Schism and the Fear Itself storyline. So, it's a different continuity following that, but everything else is still in canon. That's just our launching off point. And in there, we've allowed non-Marvel characters to show up. So we have, Dipper and Mabel and Wendy from Gravity Falls. We have Mirage from the Aladdin animated series. We've got some Street Fighter. We've got Mortal Kombat characters in there. But there are characters that we have characters that are like, we don't allow Naruto or Dragon Ball Z in there because they just don't fit in the universe. These other characters, kind of, you can see that they could be in the universe. With a little Marvel touch to it as well. So some of them we had to revamp with some Marvel origin to it. But yeah, the Stormhawks have made their appearance. Well, I should say that Master Cyclonus is now part of the Marvel universe. Is now part of the Marvel universe with the Cyclonians. They're now part of this group. She's now affiliated herself with this group called the Cabal, which the Cabal one shot was something Chris and I wrote, and we had a ball with it. So you should check it out on the Marvel 2K fanfiction website if anyone's interested. But yeah, you can go to Chris's Mount Vernon Kids YouTube channel and then check out the Marvel 2K14 stuff from there. But yeah, so who knows? Maybe we'll have Cyclonus meet the Enchantress in the Marvel Universe. Maybe that's a possibility. So just keep your eyes open there, Burnouter. May or may not happen. Alright, so thank you for that question, those questions, Burnouter. Next comes Carlotta Studios. I had a feeling Carlotta would, be on here. I had a feeling that she would ask some questions. And her first question is, which Stormhawks pairings do you support? And which is your favorite? Mine is by far Arrow Piper. I adore that pairing. I do too. I like Arrow Piper as well. I really dig that relationship. But I think my favorite one, and this is one that doesn't really have much of a following to it, very tiny following to it, in fact, is Repton and Starling. I love that pairing. I think they would play off each other more often if they had more screen time together. And it would just be I would love to see how they would interact with one another more than just the rivalry thing. I think they would have a lot. I think they would have a lot of chemistry because they are kind of like the outsiders looking in. When you think about it, they're both very they're kind of too grown up to be around the people they are. Like obviously, Repton with his brothers and Starling with the Stormhawks. But they're kind of just stuck in that kind of situation, and they're always kind of feeling like left out. They're kind of they're also have that emotional wall between them. So I think it would be interesting to see how they would play off each other in that regard. And I have written fanfiction where they have not only been a couple but also been married, where Repton and Starling were married, and Starling by marrying Repton, who was the king of Bogotan, she became the queen. And when I wrote Queen Starling, she was literally like she came damn near close to Cersei Lannister kind of stuff, but not like the whole fuck your brother and love love only your son. It was a little different than that. It was more like she was more like Aquaman when I think about it, more like Aquaman or Black Panther when it came to her royal politics. She more or less concerned herself with the people of Bogotan, like Repton, because she felt like these were her people more. She even referred to the Raptors of Bogotan. She referred to them as her people. She referred to them more. She loved them more than other humans. In fact, she even went on when there was a point in my fanfiction stories, and I've kind of taken them all down because I thought they were all crap. But there was a point where Repton went missing. And Starling became the undisputed queen. Like, there were people who thought, oh, a human can't lead us, and she proceeded to break that guy's neck. And she's pretty much said, I'm going to watch out for my people, and she actually declared that Bo-Katan would be a neutral Terra. If anyone if either Cyclonian or Stormhawks came on Bo-Katan, they'd be taken out, friend or foe. She basically isolated Bo-Katan and actually put it in a state of war, because she was willing to go to war because she didn't know what happened to Repton, because he had disappeared. So she didn't trust the Stormhawks or any of the other Sky Knights, and she didn't trust the Cyclonians for obvious reasons. So she said, you know what? I can't go to war with both of you, but if you come onto my home, you're going to get, war is waiting for you. So I think Starling would be that kind of deadly queen, and Repton would really acknowledge that. And she started the Repton's royal family, where they actually had sons. They actually had twins, Romulus and Remus. They had twin sons, and yeah, so that was a bit about that. It was more, I was trying to do for a more Game of Thrones kind of storytelling with those two, and maybe I'll revisit that kind of stuff and maybe revise it a bit. But obviously, number one pairing for me is Repton and Starling, Carlotta. In terms of other pairings that I like, this is one that's hardly has no following behind it, hardly any, is I like Finn and Suzy Lou. I dig Finn and Suzy together. I mean, yeah, again, the whole different species thing, but Finn's a lot of fun, Suzy's a lot of fun. I think they would play off each other a lot if they ever had more screen time together. I think they would really play off of each other very well. So I think it would just be a lot of fun to watch those two kind of just work off of each other and start a relationship out of, I think it would be more like Finn would just joke about it, and then Suzy would be like, yeah, let's do it. And Finn would be like, what? Like right now? Okay. So Finn and Suzy Lou as well. That one doesn't get any attention as well. But yeah, Arrow and Piper, that's definite. I also kind of like Cyclonus and Piper. Cyclonus and Piper's a really good pairing as well, in my opinion, because no one's ever treated it with bad taste, like I was saying with the Korosami pairing. No one hasn't treated it with bad taste, at least as far as I've read. So there is that with Cyclonus and Piper. I like that one. And another one of my one that I had was Cyclonus and Perry. Cyclonus and Perry was one because it was more like, it was actually a fanfiction I was going to write that I had planned in my head where Cyclonus wanted Clockstopia for its crystals, and she kind of got a loophole, or she found out this loophole that a suitor could marry into Clockstopia because Perry was still a princess and couldn't really ascend the throne without a suitor. And Cyclonus just marches in and offers her hand in marriage. So she literally marries herself to Perry and makes her the secondary queen of Cyclonia, and makes herself queen of Clockstopia. Totally legal. She totally legalizes it, and the Stormhawks can do nothing. But eventually, Cyclonus and Perry were going to be closer than just, it was just an arranged marriage. It was going to grow into something else. So yeah. But yeah, I may not even be able to do that story. Who knows? Carlotta, if you're listening to this, you can do something with that if you want to, or any of the other fanfiction pairings. I once again do like that, and I think I've spent a little too much time on that. I've got a lot of other questions to do. Speaking of which, your secondary question, which is, what are your theories about the Stormhawks' origins? Like, who their parents were, and how did they become orphans, or maybe whether or not their parents are still alive. Where did the Stormhawks originate from? I know that in the original series for Stormhawks, that Arrow was going to be from Terra Zartakla, so maybe you could still use that for Arrow and Radar. Finn, I don't know. I kind of thought that they would all be not really. I kind of figured that that Arrow's father was Lightning, and he was kind of He was kind of hidden away at birth to keep him away from Cyclonia. The other thing was I would have that. I would have that Stork's family was pretty much eaten. That kind of explains why, because the Merb home Terra is full of dangerous creatures. So I'd have it that his family was his entire family was eaten alive by some horrible monster, and he kind of just lived out on his own for the rest of his life, and that kind of explains why he's kind of very antisocial. And for Finn, I would have that he still has family, but Finn kind of just had a disagreement with his parents and just kind of ran off. So, Piper, on the other hand, Piper would have a little more mystique to her family heritage. Is basically that she was abandoned at a young age and tries her best to find her parents. I did have a parents for Starling. I did have Starling's parents around, and that they're very concerned about her, her well-being. That she's not exactly the most mentally stable person on the planet. She's not exactly stable after the loss of her team, and also kind of bring up that she's with the person that killed them all. But I would have it that that Starling's parents do live in Bogoton with their daughter and son-in-law as well as their grandchildren. That's how I wrote it in that fanfiction series. Was that her parents, while they're not exactly 100% sure that she's exactly stable anymore, they live with her in the castle, in Rapton's castle, and kind of just pretty much help raise her two sons. Also, another thing, getting back to the pairings, there's one pairing that I just don't like, and I know you talked about that it was one of your favorites, Carlotta. It's totally fine if you like it. I personally just can't find anything to like it. I mean, I don't hate on people for their pairings, and everyone can do their own thing. It's your own opinion. All for it. Good on ya. But me, I just couldn't find the reasons to like this one personally, and that was Starling and Harrier, on the grounds of Harrier is a total jerk, and Starling and him never had any screen time together, and the one time they did, Starling straight out hated his guts, called him an idiot and all that. So yeah, and the only I've talked to one person so why do you like Starling and Harrier? I'm curious, and he said, no, it was a girl, and she said, it's because they're both British. You can't tell, but I'm face palming. That's the only reason, really. Yeah, I mean, I know you said that you liked it in a previous video of mine, but I'm sorry, I just can't get into it. But if you like it, that's totally fine. I'm not going to say your pairing sucks. Me personally, I can't get into it. So yeah. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Carlotta Actually, getting back to the first question, because I'm having a lot of fun with this, there is one crossover pairing that I actually like with Stormhawks, and that's Starling and Wolverine. Starling and Wolverine, I think, makes a lot of sense, because Wolverine is the kind of the outcast, not really the team player, and has had a really tragic backstory. So if you ever met Starling, I think Starling would really connect with him. Really, I think they would start out it would be a one-night stand after meeting at a bar. And then it would kind of maybe I'll call her, maybe I won't, and then just them hanging out more and getting closer. But I don't think they would get too close to one another. That's the thing, because Wolverine's relationships always end badly. Poor Logan. So yeah, and who knows, maybe Starling and Wolverine will cross paths in the Marvel 2K14 universe. Who knows? But anyway, thanks again, Carlotta Studios. Now moving on to Taj Harrison. Taj Harrison asks, which Stormhawk can you relate to the most? Here's the thing, I don't think I could relate to any of them, because they all have some interesting qualities to them that I just can't see within me. I like watching these characters, but I don't know if I could have any relatability to them. It's kind of weird, I know, but yeah, that's the best answer I can give for that, so yeah. But anyway, thank you for that question, Taj Harrison. Next is Fire Tools, and he asks, first question, he asks, sorry, I had to get a drink. He asks, what do you think of a Stormhawks Gamera crossover in which an alternate ending to Revenge of Iris that both Gamera and Iris thrust into the Stormhawks universe? Okay, he's basically asking Gamera and Iris from the third Gamera Heisei movie in the world of Stormhawks. It'd have to be a good reason, like maybe, yeah, Cyclonia captures Iris and wants to use it as a WMD. And Gamera is found, and they have to patch up Gamera. But then Earth is screwed because then the Gauss take over. Then all the Gauss kind of overrun the planet without Gamera protecting them. That's kind of the problem. But yeah, I think it would be cool to see Iris kind of just... Because here's the thing, they've encountered giant monsters before, but they haven't... Well, the Leviathan for one, and a few other giant monsters. But they've never really encountered something like the size of Iris and Gamera. So I think that would be an interesting kind of point to that story. I think that would be interesting. So yeah, Stormhawks Gamera, okay. Second question is, if you're up to you, what secrets and details do you think the far side of Atmos had? It's like, so let's say, come down to ultimate power source that Cyclonus seeks out, something more like a threat to it than the Cyclonian Empire. I think I would have it because, again, I haven't really delved into like the far side of the Atmos stuff, but it would be more like maybe like an unlimited power source or some kind of ancient army, because Cyclonus was dead set in getting in there, wasn't she? She was dead set in getting into the far side of the Atmos. So maybe I would have it that there's maybe a huge army of ancient warriors or demon gods or something. I don't know. Sorry. Let's think of a question, Fire Tools. Aaron Izzard asks... by the way, thank you for that question, Fire Tools. Aaron Izzard asks, what top 3 Stormhawks crossovers would you like to see? Top 3. Top 3 Stormhawks crossovers. Well, number 1, I think it would be Stormhawks and the Avengers. That would be so cool. I think and again, may happen. May happen. Just saying. Stormhawks and the Avengers. Well, actually, there is another one that I had, like Stormhawks and X-Men, because I always wanted to write that. Maybe I will sometime down the road in the Marvel 2K14 site, where Piper gets possessed by the Phoenix Force, and she becomes the next Phoenix, and the X-Men are like, well, we either got to put her down or something like that, and the Stormhawks are like, no, you can't do that, and yeah, stuff happens. But yeah, so Avengers or X-Men, I guess they could count because they're from the same universe. Transformers, I'd like to see Transformers and Stormhawks. I don't know how I'd do it. And I guess Justice League. Okay. X-Men, Avengers, Transformers, Justice League. There you go. There's the 3 right there. Let's think of the question, Aaron Izzard. Next question comes from Grimlock1992, and he asks, what race would you like to be if you were in Atmos? I would be a Blizzarian. Blizzarians are cool. Me personally, I'd go with Raptor. Because, superhuman strength and scales and lizard people, fuck yeah, Raptor. Alright, second question is, if you could make any crystal power, what would it be, and what would you want to do with it? If I could have some kind of crystal power, I guess, there's actually this, maybe have, they've done, maybe a gravity stone, I don't know. That would be cool. Have a gravity crystal that can manipulate gravity, or... I don't know, because we've seen all the types of crystals in there. So maybe, have a crystal that can... I don't know, because it's hard to create one because it's already been created in the show. So I can't really think of one off the top of my head. I'm sorry. Thank you anyway for those questions, Grimlock. Next comes Travis Rendon, who asks, do you think a Raptor could fit in the Stormhawk squad? If so, what's her background, and why would they join? Actually, it's kind of funny that because I actually in the fanfiction series I was talking about earlier, a raptor did join the Stormhawks, and it was Repton. Yeah, Repton was a member of the Stormhawks. Reason being was because I had it that Cyclonus created this thing called the Terra Killer, which is this huge, this huge kind of like Cobra Commander-esque cannon that could wipe out an entire Terra. And Junko I killed off Junko, sacrificing himself to destroy the Terra Killer. And Repton, who finds out that the Terra Killer was going to be tested on his home Terra, pledges his allegiance to the Stormhawks and fills in as a member. And he was kind of like the Dinobot of the group. He was the one that always kind of jumped to, violence, but still had a sense of honor to him. It's kind of funny too because Dinobot and Repton are both voiced by the same voice actor, Scott McNeil. So I did kind of play up that whole Dinobot-esque Dinobot-esque personality, and it also kind of led way into Starling and Repton slowly becoming a couple. So there was that. So yeah, Repton was a member of the Stormhawks in my continuity. Yay! Thank you for that question, Travis. Next comes from Dylan Malone, who asks, first question is, who do you want to make a Stormhawks comic series and why? I would really like to see it at IDW. I think IDW is really good at controlling their properties, and they're buying up properties left and right. So why not? Hey, IDW, go get it. Go get the rights now. But now that I think about it, since Stormhawks is still under Disney, I think they may do it, if they ever decide to, it would be under Marvel. Not to say they would actually, Marvel would put them in the Marvel Universe. It would probably be under Marvel, kind of like when they did Halo, or what they're doing with Dexter right now. It's under Marvel, but it's not in the Marvel Universe. It's just a title. So, yeah. But me personally, I'd want it at IDW or Boom Studio. Boom Studio is the second one. IDW being the first, because they're so good at it. And we would get stuff like Mars Attacks Stormhawks or something like that. I don't know. So, yeah. That's the first question. Second question is, what do you think the team would do if they faced Blackheart from Marvel Comics? Maybe Blackheart will meet... Well, Blackheart the Stormhawks may encounter Blackheart because reasons of the Marvel 2K14 universe. But I think it would be interesting to see them kind of encounter a supernatural being of that kind of power and see how well he would screw with them. I would think that would be the interesting part. So yeah, thank you for that question, Dylan Malone 14. Next two questions come from the Omnitron12345, who asks, how well do you think the Atmos would handle an alien invasion? Alien invasion from the... you see, the thing is that the Stormhawks haven't even mastered space travel. They barely got to the stratosphere in one episode. So even though they have all this cool technology, they still haven't mastered space travel. They're still kind of primitive in a lot of cases. So to find out that, holy shit, there's other races out there that's more technologically advanced, yeah, we'd all be screwed. So obviously there would be a temporary alliance to kind of try to stave that off. I think they would try their best to kind of fight off this invasion. Yeah, so I don't know if they would succeed or not, depending on which aliens. If it's like the Skrull or the Kree, I think they would get their ass handed to them. Even any alien race, I could imagine them coming to Earth. The Stormhawks wouldn't even... and all of Atmos would be kind of fucked. Anyway, second question is, what would happen if the Stormhawks were given various Lantern Corps rings, and what color do you think everyone would get? Okay, Arrow, no doubt about it, Green Lantern. The dude doesn't fear anything, has great willpower, Green Lantern for Arrow. Blue Lantern... Blue Lantern will be a Piper, because she's always believed in hope and whatnot. So, Blue Lantern, Piper. Junko would get a Indigo ring. He's very compassionate. Very gentle and compassionate, so he'd be part of the Indigo tribe. Excuse me. Who else? Sinestro Corps. Dark Ace. Dark Ace would straight up get a Sinestro Corps ring. Because he instills great fear, so I think, yeah, he would get a Sinestro Corps ring. Repton, Red Lantern. No doubt about it. He's that angry. I could see a Red Lantern ring attaching to him. And finally, for the... I'm forgetting Star Sapphire. I'm forgetting two more. Orange Lantern. Orange Lantern would be... I think an Orange Lantern would be obviously be Cyclonus, because she wants it all. She wants all of Atmos. She's that greedy that she wants it all. So Orange Lantern would go to Master Cyclonus. Well, Orange Ring would go to Master Cyclonus. And Star Sapphire Ring would go to Starling, because she still feels a lot of love for her teammates and feels a lot of care for the Stormhawks. So I could see her as a Star Sapphire. So there's all the Lantern Rings right there. So thank you for those questions, Omnitron. Next question comes from Wolfman the Impaler, who asks, how do you think the Stormhawks would react if they met the Gargoyles, Avengers, and Team Prime from Transformers Prime? Okay, so Gargoyles, I think it would be cool. I think I would think of something better if I could think of something right off, if I had time, but I think it would be cool to see them encounter the Gargoyles in Manhattan. I think it would first be like, oh man, solid ground, that'd be cool. I think it would be great just to see Piper hang out with Lex. Junko and Brooklyn would be Junko and Brooklyn would be great hanging out together. I think Arrow would kind of be really inspired by Goliath. No, wait, not Brooklyn. Broadway. Excuse me. Broadway. Yeah. Broadway and Junko, right there. Broadway and Junko would be awesome to see hang out together. And Brooklyn and Finn would be a lot of fun too. But Finn's not as angry as Brooklyn is sometimes, so I think it would be like, dude, chill out. But another one I think it would be cool to see hang out together is Lexington and Piper and Lexington. I think that would be a lot of fun. And also Bronx trying to eat Radar. I think it'd be hilarious just to see Bronx kind of try to chase after Radar, thinking he's like a snack. So and then kind of see them Bronx and Radar hanging out together. I think that would be hilarious. The Avengers would be a lot of fun, seeing Cap. Oh, it would be so cool to see Arrow use Cap's shield in a fight. And again, they may meet the Avengers in the Marvel 2K14 universe. Just saying. So that team-up might happen in the Marvel 2K14 fanfiction universe. So there's the Avengers. That may happen, but that would be a lot of fun. Oh, especially Finn and Hawkeye. Finn and Hawkeye would have a shooting match to see who's the better archer. That'd be just to see those two kind of work together, kind of play off each other would be fun in their own right. And Piper being so amazed by Tony's armors. So yeah, there's that. And finally, for Transformers, Team Prime would be a lot of fun. Just seeing them be totally in shock and awe of these giant robots. It's actually kind of funny because I did have an idea for Transformers. Well, G1 Transformer, Generation 1 Transformers. And Stormhawks meeting, basically have that the Ark and the Nemesis crash landed on Atmos millions of years ago, long before they ever reached Earth, and Cyclonus wakes up, finds the Nemesis, and wakes up the Decepticons, and in exchange for helping her conquer the rest of Atmos, she'd help them mine Energon. So it's a win-win situation, and the Autobots are discovered, and it kind of wars out from there. I just never really branched it out. That was the problem. So I guess that kind of answers your question right there, Wolfman. Second question is, if you had to choose from the following challenges: sparring match with Arrow, quiz against Piper, target practice with Finn, or an eating contest against Junko, which do you think would be the best chance? Which do you think? I have no chance of winning against any of them. Arrow's a master hand-to-hand fighter. Junko's an eating machine. Finn's frickin' Hawkeye with a crossbow, and Piper's too damn smart. So I don't think I have no chance of winning that. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I got nothing. So thank you for that question, Wolfman the Impaler. And the final question comes from the Spawn 117, who pretty much I'm gonna give you the abridged version of the question. Stormhawk's Gundam crossover. Stormhawks and Gundam. Wow. Interesting. I think it would be kind of interesting to see how Cyclonus would try to use the Gundam technology. Because imagine, I don't think it would be a good day in Atmos if the Cyclonians managed to use... Because we've seen that thing called the Armor of Untold Vengeance used, and that was terrifying. So imagine if she managed to, the Cyclonian Empire managed to manufacture giant mech suits and keep them powered constantly. Bad day in the neighborhood, my friends. Bad day in the neighborhood. Especially the Gundams. Yeah, the Gundams. I'm saying Gundams, not Gungams. I realize that. So yeah, Gundams, like the Hail Buster Gundam, or the or the Gundam Zero from Endless Waltz, or the Death Sight Hell Gundam. There's so many Gundams I would not want the Cyclonians to have. But on the other hand, maybe the Stormhawks could use them. Who knows? So yeah, it pretty much does it for this Q&A. I want to thank everyone who asked a question for this Stormhawks Q&A. And yeah, just hope you guys enjoyed this. And once again, if I didn't get to your question, that means it probably didn't come up on the... It probably got marked as spam, so I do apologize for that. And yeah, once again, hope you guys enjoyed this. And I'm out of here. Later.